Yeah, this time let's double check that we do have the sound on because I've been known to fuck that up before. Yep, looks like we got sound.
All right.
All right, everybody, welcome to the DisJointed FoodBiz. I'm Dave Germain, joined as always with co-host Thor Markey.
Thor Markey, how you guys doing today?
How's it going? It's been an interesting week, man. We've one of the things we've been talking about at work is we had joined a group on Facebook called Restaurant and Bar Owners.
Yes.
And so it's really interesting. This is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do the show to begin with, because I think there's a disconnect between the hourly associates and the owners and stuff. And this,
Certainly,
I like talking about these things where basically we're trying to bridge that gap of communication, because I think there's certain things that as an hourly I don't see from an owner's point of view, and
definitely.
vice versa. And that's definitely some of the things that we saw this week.
yes,
It was
a
on
lot
there.
on that.
There was a nice person, and I'm not going to mention names because it's one, I'm not trying to attack anybody, but there's some interesting ideas. But there's one bar owner's like, "What's your biggest challenge that you're facing in the restaurant industry today?" And by far and large, man, everybody kept putting the associates or the hourlies.
The staffing issues.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Totally, and that's fair, man. I can get that. Like, problem is I got to deal with all these stupid employees. I'm like, yeah, welcome to management. That's it's the best and the worst thing. It could be the best thing about your job, or it could be the absolute worst thing about your job.
Well, and as an owner too, I mean, you're wearing that manager's hat, and unfortunately, the professionalism in this industry is dying.
Oh yeah. Well, that's it's dying a slow, painful death. Hey, somebody just joined us. It's either that or the Nightbot, one of the two. It's the Nightbot. Either way, feel free to say hi, man. If you're joining us from Facebook or from Twitter or here on Twitch, man, we'd love to hang out and have any questions about it. Yeah, I always thought that the art of management, that stopped being in customer service and the professionalism. I always think my personal cynical view of it, the reason why it's gone away is because it's not profit. It's not making enough money. There's nothing that you can measure it by ones and zeros other than their bottom line. No, I get you. That's probably about true. Not everything in business should be measured by ones and zeros, though. Right, which is tough if you're far away from that unit, like on a corporate level. You need to have everything to be put in ones and zeros. They don't have time to go to every single unit, especially like if you're thinking about a big company like Darden or whatever, who has 80 concepts plus a slew of other holding companies.
There's so many different companies for that company. It's ridiculous.
Right.
But I mean, point of fact, for something like that, if I have a dishwasher, as a regional, whatever else, and I don't go in there, I don't know who he is, I don't know what shift he works, I don't know if he's any good.
Right.
But even though it's dishwasher or the pearl diver or whatever you want to call them, and everybody's like, oh, it's a shit job, nobody wants to do it, it's not really important. Mm-hmm. That's bullshit. Every job within that restaurant's important, from the dishwasher, changing the trash, getting the plates clean, keeping the lines down, whatever the case may be. That is still important.
Oh,
and
totally.
You can't judge that by zeros and numbers.
Oh, the best way that I always thought was really funny is that at this one restaurant that I worked at, when I would see the regionals and the VPs come through, and they're like, how come this is dirty? How come that's dirty? How come you guys got dinged so many on your last health inspection? How come you do this? By the way, why are you spending so much labor on your pantry, on your dishwashers? I'm like, idiot, who the fuck you think is going to clean that? Like, it takes... That's the great thing. Yeah, everybody who doesn't want to spend money, nobody wants to spend money on a dishwasher until they get dinged by the health department.
Health department, sure.
You're like, hey, how come everything's so dirty underneath the sinks? I'm like, you're not going to get when corporate wanted the front of house to do all the detail cleaning in the back of house, that was like, you pay us $2 an hour. I am going to give you $2 worth of cleaning. Here, I wiped off a table. There you go. Fuck off. And is that the right attitude? Absolutely not, because everybody should have a vested interest in how clean the restaurant is. People tend to want to go into cleaner restaurants than dirty restaurants.
Oh, most definitely.
But yeah, that was just one of those things that they just couldn't get through their head. They're like, why won't these people who we underpay and don't give a shit about not do what we want them to do?
Well, and I mean, let's face it. How many of us at home actually open up the cabinet underneath the kitchen sink and clean
right
the underside of the kitchen sink? I'm willing to bet 80% don't.
Oh, you just saw me do some dishes in my own house, man. And I gave the finger to underneath the sink. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about you.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. But, as a business owner, nobody's gonna care as much about your business as you do. Mm-hmm. And if you're, a big boy, you got all this money, you're like, yeah, I own a restaurant. That's what, you still have to be in there. You still have to look and know what's going on. You don't necessarily have to be managing it or running it. That's what you pay a manager, or some of the issues that coming into nowadays, changing keys to what is known as leads.
Right.
To break it down. So, because I did notice on the website, on the Facebook page, that, some people are getting into the restaurant industry and really don't understand the restaurant industry.
Right.
So to break it down, a key is basically somebody that has keys to the restaurant, can open the restaurant, can close the restaurant, do the opening paperwork, the closing paperwork, set up the shift, run the shift, do voids, comps, whatever else. They don't do anything else past that.
Right.
All right. Now, I've yet to work with a company that uses leads. But the basic idea of a lead is the same thing as a key, but you separate out the manager's duties.
Right. So the staffing issues or the inventory, the purchasing usually does not go to a key.
Right. No, definitely not. And key and leads are basically the same thing.
Right.
You start a key out to teach them how to manage, to show them the way of managing, to build them up to be the next manager. Which should be the same with a lead. But eventually a key will end up doing inventories, again, along with a manager,
right?
So they understand it. But so the new tides of leads are, okay, you're going to get hired as, and it depends on how a company breaks them down. So basically they're going to be managers, but they're a higher hourly wage. Instead of paying somebody $40,000, maybe it's $15 an hour.
Right.
You're going to try and keep them under 40 hours a week, and
we're going to try to,
because let's face it, as an owner operator, you're doing 80, 90, 100 something hours a week for your restaurant.
Right.
As a manager, most managers' salary pay is $55. That's what you get paid for. But let's face it, we all work a hell of a lot more than that.
Right.
So how are you going to keep a lead at $15 an hour under 40 hours to not pay that overtime? Because then you're just handing out cash and still be able to get orders, schedules, inventories, whatever else. And, are you actually going to take it another step and have them start doing marketing, advertising, billing, accounts, P&Ls, stuff like that. So as an independent owner-operator, small company, a lead, as long as you're still in the business, makes sense. Because it frees up your day, your time. So maybe you can sit in the office for a couple hours and get some of the other stuff done. But, let's face it, as a key, you're basically just, ultimately, what they're doing is breaking it down to make it cheaper for somebody to be able to run a restaurant without actually having to run a restaurant.
Right.
All right. And to that fold, as an operator, as an owner, as a manager, like we've said before, nobody's going to be invested in your business. You can pay somebody $15 an hour, but ultimately, and it comes to pride in the person and whatever else. You have to find the right people. Otherwise, they're going to rob you blind.
Totally.
I mean, it happens with managers everywhere. They pad numbers. They take stuff, whatever else.
Oh, dude, I had the first time I ever noticed it, and this is probably the first time, like I said, I noticed it, is we had this, this is back in the Pizzeria Uno that I worked over on Mill Avenue back in Arizona. And there was this guy that he was the GM. He threw his back out, but he would always come in every Sunday, no matter how much pain he was in, to make sure to get the invoices done because, like, wow, this guy's really, trying to be
stealing.
Yeah. We thought, man, for a while, like all the, because I'm only in my 20s at this point. I'm like, man, that guy's really dedicated. All right, That's pretty awesome. And then they had brought in another manager to kind of, take over because it turns out this guy wasn't coming back as soon as he thought he was going to. And then when he starts doing the invoices, he's like,
why is there $500 going to Peter over here?
Oh, it was about 10 grand.
Yeah.
That was missing.
Yeah.
In the profits and stuff, right? So they're like, oh, holy shit. And it was pretty weird. And this doesn't justify, maybe because I can, my own bullshit detector's going off with myself.
Sure.
I don't think it's ever okay to steal, but I always found that it's understandable why people do it. This particular guy had a couple of kids at home. He had a wife that's been sick for a while. The pay rate probably wasn't as good for what he was for the size of the store that he was in. There was no bonus system ever that was going on there. The particular owner, like, there's only and this is something that's understandable when it comes to preventive maintenance. If you don't pay for it on the front end, you're definitely going to pay for it on the back end. And so
definitely.
This particular unit, which was huge, had 7 AC units on it, none of them which were ever working at the same time. Okay? And so as a result, every time he says, we need to spend money on repair, he would get chastised. Well, why is this happening? We just spent $4,000 on repairing an AC unit. Why is this place not cool? He's like, because I told you that 3 of them are out.
And we only repaired one.
We only repaired one. And like,
right.
Well, that's not acceptable, which I hate that word. Anyways, there was times when we brought in 20 grand in a day, like broke sales records and stuff, never got a thank you. Right, little things like that. Never got a thank you from the owner. He was always perpetually pissed off and probably had many reasons to be pissed off. But I think it was
somebody stealing 10 grand.
Yeah, exactly. That probably had a lot to do with it.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. So he was just suspicious about everybody and everything. And as a result, nobody was invested in that place.
Oh, definitely. I mean, but and so many people want the easy road. Mm-hmm. So many people want all this cash or fix things easily. And, me personally as a manager, you do get into places to where there is no bonus. You haven't seen a raise in too long.
Yes.
There's no benefits to it. There's no, health benefits. There's no vacation, or there is vacation, but you let's face it, you get 2 weeks a year at most places.
Right.
And you can't take them consecutively together.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, great idea, corporate America only giving restaurant managers 1 week to start off with vacation.
I mean, you go to other parts of the world, and it doesn't matter what you do, you got a month.
Yeah. Germany, France, all these other places are like, what do you mean you only get 2 weeks? That's stupid. And you can't take it all at once?
Normally, they make you take it all at once. I know of some places that can, they'll split it up for you, whatever else, but let's face it, you work 80, 90 hours a week. You got kids at home, you got a wife, so that's a whole nother job upon itself. Mm-hmm. You need that vacation to unplug and unwind and whatever else. And, you don't get it. And the bills are tagging up because, you're making $30,000, $40,000, but you're living in an area that takes $80,000.
Yeah.
And plus kids, I don't know about you, my kids are, damn, if I had the money that I bought clothes with, I'd be a rich man. But it's as a manager or as a key or a lead or even as an owner, you think, oh, we did $20,000 in sales. I got an extra $5,000. Nobody will notice.
Yeah.
And even as an owner, that money's there. Should you take it? Hell no. As an owner, you should put that money right back into your business.
Oh, by the way, don't think that the owner, everybody's not going to notice.
Yeah.
By the way, your managers, or this is the worst. This is a key position or a lead position. I think should be temporary at best, no more than 6 months. If you're not going to promote them to a manager within 6 months, put them back to an hourly. The reason for that being is that they see how much money on a daily basis that goes into the restaurant. So when you say we don't have any money, really? Because I thought we did 10 grand a day. We did 10 grand every day this week. Why is it that you get? So they might not see where all the money has to go to. They don't know what the utilities cost. They don't know what the rent costs.
Right.
They don't know what your personal expenses are. All that other stuff. All they see is that I'm pretty sure we did $2 million last year, and you're saying that you can't pay me more than $12 an hour.
Right.
So something is amiss. You know what? You know what else is amiss? $100 every week out of this register.
Well, and they lose faith in the company. They lose pride in the company. They lose loyalty. So I would definitely. I don't know if I would do the 6-month deal.
Right.
I would do more of a year. But
okay.
Same token. Coming into a place, if you're made a key or a lead, and ideally these are steps to managers, and I've realized the big boys in most places are trying to get rid of managers.
Right.
Because they're trying to save that money. Ultimately, you're probably going to end up spending close to whatever you're paying a manager.
Pretty much.
Anyway. But if you're bringing in a lead, all right, and you don't have managers, there's no future.
Right.
So if there's no future, why am I here?
Right.
I mean, no offense, we've seen it throughout years in this industry. You get into a young setup, you build it up, they get a couple stores, you become a general manager. Okay, great. Where do you go from there?
Mm-hmm.
If they keep growing, do you become a regional? Let's face it, more often than not, doesn't happen.
No, because they're going to hire a regional, somebody who has experience.
Somebody
and
who has
multiple
experience instead of somebody who has loyalty. So ultimately, what I think it kind of comes down to is, and it's been a failing thing for years, I think, all these companies we have to train our people.
Mm-hmm.
But the training stops at their job.
Right.
All right? If when you get into fine dining, you deal with lead servers, stuff like that.
Right.
There are steps as they continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, past 10 years, those steps are gone.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting rid of them. Why am I going to come in as a server or cook and not have... I think that's why fine dining is done better in this scenario.
Right.
Because you do have a server, a lead server, head server, same thing in the kitchens. You got your line cooks, you got your prep cooks, your dish. You start in dish, you go to prep,
Mm-hmm.
you go to the line, move up, headlines, sous, executive.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, those are the top sets. After it grows a couple businesses, you get a couple stores. Your execs taking, head of kitchen operations or whatever you want, director of operations, or their steps as they're growing. But so many places now, whether it be corporation or privateer, are outsourcing, cutting. Nobody, if I'm not going to be able to grow, if I'm not going to be able to make more money, learn more about this business,
Mm-hmm.
and grow, especially as a private owner, you get, because there are gems that come through this business where these guys can serve, they can cook, and they're phenomenal at everything they do as long as you teach them.
Yeah.
You get that one store, say in 6-7 years, they become the general manager, and then you open another store, but you kind of leave them behind.
Yeah.
But those people are the ones that are loyal to you and you take care of and you keep growing and teaching. Why am I going to hire some dickhead, and I'm just going to use a certain topic that we've used before,
Right.
Some guy that put a macaroni grill,
Mm-hmm.
a regional that worked for them that showed no numbers. They filed bankruptcy. You know, so whatever company ends up buying him, probably going to fire the guy.
Yep.
But he's going to come over to some other company and be like, oh, I was you know, and they're going to pick him up. Pull the people from inside your company.
Yeah.
You know, build that loyalty. And that's a huge issue.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to build. And we're all about, train them how to put plates down. You know, I can train a monkey how to do that, no offense.
Right.
But you're not giving them any future.
Yeah, everybody wants loyalty, just though they don't want to pay for it. That's gosh, man, and you hit the nail right on the head. Is that, I mean, there has to be somewhat of a future. Like, I always thought that it's and once again, being a cynical asshole that I am.
Yeah.
You know who gets to be a good dad in the restaurant? The GM does. If you're an assistant manager, good luck trying to be home for your family. If you start off, you're going to be closing at least 5 to 6 nights a week, and then you might be able to get one open or a mid, maybe 1 day a week. Good luck have your wife not getting pissed off at you all the time.
Yeah.
There is so it's kind of like it always comes down to like what future is there in it for me? You know, like if I'm not going to be able to move up, if I'm not going to be able to learn, if I'm not going to be able to do all these things, then there's no reason for me to be here. And then my favorite answer from this was like, well, they should be lucky they have a job. I'm like, yeah, that's an instant fuck you to your hourlies, by the way.
You're an asshole. You're going to be out of business, or you're going to be hurting on staff so bad that you wish you were out of business.
And they don't. It kind of comes down to, we were even talking about before the camera started rolling, about marriages and relationships and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They're trying to run the idea of what a good employee should be from 1950s level of concept of thinking.
Definitely.
You know, like back in the 50s, regardless, your wife could have been insane. She could have been completely violent, but divorce was looked down upon, so you stuck with it. And people stuck with marriage back then, yeah, because they didn't know any better. They didn't know that you can just go like, oh, all right, well, you could take the house and everything. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to fucking leave. My name is Paco now. I'm going to move to Mexico and start up. I'm going to just sell braids on the beach. See ya. I don't give a shit. All right? And so, like, deuces. And that's totally a possibility now. That's the same thing happens with your job where they're like, well, what happened to loyalty? I'm like, you don't have to stay there if you don't want to. If you're miserable in a job, you could always leave. And I think there's that disconnect that these folks are having. So
you bring up a good point because 1950s, whatever else, 30s, 40s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
people were still dying of polio back then, so I don't know why you're still holding to that.
But in life and the mentality of it was, if I work hard and I save, I can own a house. I could have the white picket fence. I could have everything I ever wanted. Right. Majority of time nowadays, because let's face it, especially here in Denver, to have a house, I mean, they're $400,000 for an 1,800 square foot piece of shit.
Yeah. So you too, if you have rich parents or you work for a defense contractor, you too can own a house. Which, nothing wrong with that situation, man. I'm sure you worked hard. Well, for the defense contractor, you didn't work hard to have rich parents. But but for anybody else out there,
Well, I mean, think of the mentality of your dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, if his job is to wash dishes, you're never going to train him and grow him and produce him and put the effort into him, so he puts the effort back into you. But also on a personal note, what are his goals? Is it to own a house? Well, let's face it, as a dishwasher,
probably not going to happen.
Minimum wage in certain markets, not everywhere, but in certain markets, it's never going to happen.
Right.
It's never going to happen. So what does that do to your personnel, as far as, their mentality? Oh, fuck, I'm never going to own anything that's worth a damn, so why do I give a damn?
Right.
So it's hard, man. It's a different mentality, So some people are like, oh, when I was a kid, I always dreamed I'd live in a trailer home.
Right. Hey, for some people that is a big thing. Depending if you lived in Arkansas, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had a house in Arkansas, but I mean, nobody grows up going, as a 6-year-old kid, I want to be a dishwasher for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't happen.
Right.
I want to flip burgers. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people out there who want to flip burgers.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, try flipping 45 burgers within 30 minutes.
Yep.
It's a skill.
Yep.
But so many business people and intellectuals are like, oh, that's a mundane job.
Right.
Serving, you could train a monkey, which you can train a monkey to do it. But there's more to it of reading the table. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Reading the table, knowing how to set the plate down, knowing when somebody needs something.
Right.
Knowing, there's a lot more that goes to it than just setting a plate of food on a fucking table. Yeah,
there's a bit of a problem solving to it. I was telling one of the new hires that, I was asking, like, what... Usually, this works better with younger people because I'm like, you play video games like StarCraft or anything, and they're like, oh, yeah, I play that. Okay, so you always have to plan ahead 5 minutes or at least 2 minutes ahead of what's going on, right?
Oh, sure.
And it's like, yeah, this is exactly the same thing. There's a reason why I can turn tables faster than a lot of other people's because I'm a little bit
playing chess the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And luckily, this guy, he's like, oh, I like to play chess. I'm like, this is exactly like chess.
It's same exact
You've
thing.
already got the mindset. You just got to figure out how to translate it. That's all.
Right. I mean, organization and your shorthand, your time management skills. I will take professional servers almost out of any industry out there to do anything, and more than likely they will succeed because of their organization, their time management, their attention to detail.
Their ability to work high. They can come in and have 4 shots of Jack and still manage to knock out 40 covers. That's amazing.
I mean, we've talked about that. The industry's changed a lot. I remember coming to work doing rails, smoking fatties, drinking mimosas, turning into Bloody Marys, and still pushing out, exquisite meals. But the industry's changed a lot as far as that goes. Don't do that line of Coke.
Yeah.
Okay, but I've been here for 18 hours, and it might help me a little bit.
5 hours energies aren't really doing it unless there's
yeah, maybe if you snort them.
Yeah, I guess. They're just like putting
straight
putting
to the
it in
brain.
a syringe, putting it right into their neck, and I'm like, all right, let's do this.
But I mean, the conception of everything now is just crazy. You want this $1 million business, and like the Facebook page. Oh, I bought a bar. There's one instance. I'm going to not. The guy was asking about POSs. Decided not to do POSs because the bartenders that had been there for a while don't like them. Whatever else. Oh, and nobody likes change. Let's face it. But if you're at a business that doesn't even have a fucking register, look, man. For every beer you sell, they're making $2 easy.
Yep.
Your inventory can't be right. People got to be stealing from you. There's a reason why that business was sold. There's a reason why that business was purchased by you. And again, do research before you get into something. But
which family owned that business? Because chances are that was clearly a laundering front. Like, I've never been so sure of anything. I don't even know this person, but I'm like, you're doing what? Oh, let me guess.
But I mean, you hit places like back east in New York. That building could be in the family for decades.
Right.
You're not paying any rent. You turn the bottom floor into a bar. So if you make $50 off of it, you make $50 off of it. You're good.
There is that.
But it depends on the situations. But if you have no way of ringing things up and they're just paying you from what they told you or what they've written down, I mean, nobody's that trustworthy. I'm sorry, there are people out there that trustworthy, but nowadays they're far and few in between.
That I can only guess that most of their inventory fell off the back of a truck. That might have been it too. So they're like, it's all profit. What do I give a shit? You know?
Wow, and if they're taking money out of say $1 out of every beer sold, which isn't unfathomed, how many are they drinking as well?
Yeah.
But if you're buying a business, look, get a register, get a POS. It helps you with scheduling, inventories, see what's selling, what's not selling, so you know what to turn over, especially if it's a bar. I mean, nowadays with all the craft beers and everything, and I'm a strong, firm believer in you should buy local, especially craft beer. Find what's working, go with it. Keep your basic on the big boys. But you don't know what's selling if, you don't have anything to ring it up by. Say you got a craft beer that's $4.50, but you're selling Schlitz at this bar because you have no way to ring it up, and they're only $1 a piece.
Right.
So Schlitz is going to be the biggest thing sold.
Totally.
Because, let's face it, I'll go in there, I'll get a craft beer, they'll be like, oh, yeah, $4.50. Oh, I just sold the Schlitz.
Yeah.
There's $1 for the drawer, and I got $3.50 in my pocket.
That's amazing. I don't know it's the most popular beer ever. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Like, I noticed we sold at least $1,000 worth of tequila this week, which is great. But for the inventory that I had, I should have made $3,000 of tequila that went out.
Yeah.
So, and I noticed you just got a new Lexus. So, oh man,
flying high, man, easy money.
It's when I see questions like that, like how important is a POS system? I'm like, only if you like to make money.
You should not be in the business. Don't get me wrong. Everybody should venture out, but I mean, if you're going to venture out, and especially in restaurants, it's million two. Open a store. By the time you put all the money into it, tables, whatever else, even if you're taking it over, you want to revamp it, fresh paint a coat, whatever.
Totally, make it yours.
There's you got to have money. You got to be able, to roll with it and make that money.
Just checking something on this thing.
Uh-oh.
No, it's fine. It's just every now and then the chat thing gets kind of funky. So
no worries.
I don't know. We've had a couple folks who have been watching, but nobody actually said hello. So feel free to say hi, bastards. Well, there was another interesting post that they'd put up this week, and is that there was an article about Elon Musk. And Elon Musk was saying that basically he has no need for managers in his company because they just get in the way and it's different, And some folks were like, "Is this something that we can do for the restaurant industry?" And
now, hold on. I'm always open to new ideas.
Right.
I always like learning something new.
Totally.
And I think I know where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Certain businesses and companies, it definitely will work.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so proceed, sir.
Oh yeah, and there was this one lady who has a restaurant in Germany, and just says we don't have managers, and we were able to take a couple of weeks off, and everything was working just fine, So I don't think, and so she was a proponent of that, and I'm like, I didn't know that. Hey, bastards, what's going on? What was that? Roll it down. How's it going, man? So this gal, she was granted. At first, I'm like, how does she make this work? And that's when I'm like, well, let me see, where is she in? And that's when I noticed that she was in Germany. And I'm like, well, that's a completely different setup that they have for how they pay. Different mentality, different setup, different style. Because America is still, we still do pay off of tips and stuff out here. Not so much a lot of other places.
But and the key component is she got to take 2 weeks off.
Right.
But, sounds like an owner-operator deal.
Mm-hmm.
And sounds like a true owner-operator deal.
Totally.
Meaning she's in the store.
Yes.
So, more than likely, she has a leader or key. Maybe they don't give them that position or title.
Right.
But she probably has somebody she can trust,
mm-hmm.
apparently, by taking 2 weeks off.
Absolutely.
That has worked for her or with her for a while and knows the system, knows the setup. But being as a true owner-operator, when you're in the store, you don't have any managers because you're there.
Yeah.
You are that manager. You are the owner, So, of course, you don't need a manager when you're an owner.
Right.
I took 2 weeks off. Yeah, because you changed hats.
Yeah.
Hello, that's not what we were really getting at,
right?
Or what it's not what I think they were talking about. Some of that conversation was, having a location that the owner's not in and there is no manager. So
it's a different thing. Like I think I responded to it that I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not doubting the intelligence of Elon Musk because that dude obviously has got one of the super brains on the planet. But until SpaceX starts doing Sunday brunch, the food service industry is going to be something different. Like at some point, they're like, "Wait a second, why are you guys asking me for stupid shit? I'm trying to give you this awesome technology." Like, yeah, but can I use this coupon? Like, it's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. Fuck humanity. I'm just, you know what? I'm getting on the rocket myself. See you later.
Okay, so here's a thought. Why in this industry do we coupon? Now, as far as the little boys, there was a webpage of what's his name, the bar rescue guy.
Oh, John Taffer.
John Taffer, brilliant guy, I'm sure. Bar rescue again was. I can
tell you some stories about bar rescue.
Wow, I mean, all the great ones have stories, but bar rescue was a reality show. Right. The guy's a businessman. They made a very good point not to coupon. Right. All right. How do you get away not couponing when the restaurant trendsetters, and what I mean by this is the big boys out there, are couponing and discounting their ass off?
Yep.
All right. And I don't know about you. One of the oldest companies or businesses, let's take the electricity. Mm-hmm. When was the last time they sent you a coupon?
Right.
Same thing with the airplanes. Yeah, They got airway miles. All right, so it's a loyalty club type setup. Mm-hmm. I get it. But I've never seen, oh, hey, we'll send you a coupon in the mail for $100 off your next flight. Ain't going to happen.
Right.
Never. So why is it okay? When did we get into this drag of this? And in that video, they're like, hey, first-time comers come in, buy them, say, hey, the meal's on us. That's actually, it's brilliant, and you should. Mm-hmm. But do it for your older customers, too. Yeah. Do it to your regulars. If you have a bar, hey, man, you know what? You get a shot of Jameson every day and a beer. It's been 2 weeks. This shot's on me, all right? As the owner, as the general manager, as the face of the company, definitely.
That's the way that I was taught how to bartend, and back in New York, it's just like, no, usually after every fourth beer is on us.
Yeah, that was always something.
That was always something like, here, man, I get you a shot, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's on us, don't worry about it. But I mean, granted, there's always going to be somebody that tries to. This is why human beings can't have anything nice. Be like, yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll get you a shot, man. Can I get you what, Jack? You want some Jameson? Can I get some Glenlivet? I offered you Jim Beam. I offered you this, man. You've been drinking frickin' Bud Light. No, I'm not giving it. Or
I want a 15-year-old scotch,
yeah,
please.
Can I get a 15-year-old scotch? You got some Johnny Blue up there. I'd like to try a shot of that. I am not giving you a fucking $100 shot, you asshole. Like, not even on your birthday do I even give that fucking much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's always going to be that, but I think... yeah, the coupon thing was a slippery slope. You figure that everybody would have learned from Domino's Pizza back in the 80s because Domino's cannot exist without coupons now. Domino's tries to do something without having a bargain on anything. People are not going to go there. Well, we've
changed the mentality of the consumer, too. I mean, let's take Walmart. Mm-hmm. Walmart is the biggest retailer out there. They do market trend settings.
Mm-hmm. They strong-arm the way out of everybody who sells there, by the way.
Well, yes, but when was the last time you saw a coupon for Walmart?
Right.
A $10 off.
Don't do it. Yeah, they don't. And
they really don't. They'll do a discount or a percentage or lower the price, but they don't mail it out. They don't email it out. They don't, they do cut their costs. They do have to lower things because of the buying power that they have.
Or heaven forbid somebody wants like a 5% raise or like a cost of living raise for their staff. Then, yeah, they definitely got to cut all the, fuck you.
Well, and somebody said the other day
Can we get health insurance? We're closing that store down, sorry.
Google's looking to buy Walmart. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that.
So, apparently Google is tiptoeing around buying Walmart, which makes sense because they're kind of competitor, not really, but Amazon dude there, everything he touches turns to liquid gold.
Right.
But because he bought Whole Foods, right?
Yeah, he bought Whole Foods, and he's they're doing. I'm pretty sure they're doing pretty well with because he already had a delivery system set up, and so a lot of people are starting to do that whole fresh, and he's paying people at a decent wage. Like it's starting, like I mean, granted, it's only 2 hours worth of work, but and I know this from experience because I do Amazon Flex, but $18 an hour to start off with.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think $18 an hour is a decent wage for what you're doing.
Right.
And a lot of people, well, I mean, let's face it, you're probably figuring $12 an hour if you think about it, because you have the car use and egg sandwich coming back up.
Yeah, it smells like a little sausage you had there. What was that? A little Tabasco on that?
It was bacon.
Oh,
might have been a little Tabasco. But a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, $18 an hour." You drive your car all over the place, and your car's shit within a year because you don't maintain, take care, whatever else. But, and not that Google is the same thing. It's a search engine, whatever else. But they're trying to expand. They're trying to grow. What happens if they end up buying a company like Walmart?
Right.
Amazon's doing different things here, there, and
they're
everywhere.
divested, yeah.
So they're invested in for it to grow. But if you do have a company come in and buy the biggest trendsetter out there,
right?
What's going to happen?
I'd be really curious to see how they do it, because it's not like Google's another one of those like strong companies that are pretty smart, except for them building an AI, which is probably going to kill all of us. But other than that,
well, but I mean, Google's had its ups and downs. Right. It's been a roller coaster. Where, I mean, let's face it, Walmart, ups and downs, yes, but they've steadily grown since their start.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, they've invested and done so much in so many different industries, like trucking, coming up with a more efficient way, shipping, purchasing, whatever the case may be. They've continuously grown throughout the time. They've dropped down a little bit, but, then they rise back up. Amazon's done the same thing, but to have somebody buy it out and get into a set, and maybe they just take over the president position, but maybe they come in and go, "Hey, you fuckers are fired. We got a whole new team coming in. Yeah. They're going to kill us if they do that." Ideally they won't. It's a business decision. You want to keep that growing and moving forward, but
it should be pretty interesting to see what happens with that. By the way, we had a couple other folks chiming in or hanging out and stuff, man. Welcome to the show. This is the DisJointed FoodBiz. This is Thor Markey and myself. I'm Dave Germain, and we're just talking mostly about the restaurant industry and a lot of the trends and stuff that have been going on there. This week we were talking about how some folks they're throwing around the idea of getting rid of managers or not using them, and there is definitely a good way to do that, and in a very really lame-ass way to do that, where they will probably like. I think it always comes down to is like you can what we were talking about is that you can do without a manager, assuming you're in the store and actually you're the owner and managing it yourself.
Somebody has to be held accountable and ultimately final decision.
There's no free lunch, especially even if you own the restaurant. There's still no free lunch. Like what you were kind of breaking down when we were talking about the other day about. How much money can you really expect to be making off of just even a quick serve restaurant that's going to be doing, let's say, $1 million a year? Once you actually pay your as far as all your costs and stuff like that, and it works out to you're probably going to be making about what 20, 30 grand, something like that. I don't know. We have that's.
Well, no, I think we figured out once you paid off majority of your cost, it was like anywhere from $1 to $500,000. A lot of variants come into that as far as. The cost of square footage of the restaurant and stuff like that. Where can you save, after you paying your employees? I mean, let's face it, real estate, depending on where you're at, can be 15 to 60% of your ultimate bills and stuff like that. So if you have $1 million store, and we figured, maybe you make a profit of just your overheads. We're not counting labor. But you figure, you might make anywhere from 100 to 500,000.
Right.
But then your labor, your taxes, your upkeep, whatever else. So, I mean, that dwindles down quite readily.
Oh, yeah.
But if you have an owner that's like, oh, well, say I made 500,000, I'm going to take 100,000 because I'm the owner. All right. You're not putting it back in your business. Let's face it. If you only have one store, you need to pay yourself.
Right.
Whether it be an hourly wage or a salaried wage. It's really up to you. But you don't go in and go, okay, well, I don't have a manager, so I'm going to pay myself $40,000.
Right.
Okay. If you're going to have a business, you have to invest in your business. And that doesn't mean it's going to pay out right away.
Yeah, totally.
You have to struggle. You have to work your business. You have to. You can't turn around and go, all right, I'm the owner. I get $40,000 a year. No, fuck that. Pay yourself a real wage that you can pay your basic living needs. And wait a while. Put all that shit in the money and shit in the bank and wait a while. See what your profit really is before you take anything.
Yeah, don't go just off of the first year. Like, oh, okay, the first year we made a pretty good profit, so that's probably that we can budget from. That's what we're going to make every year. Really? Well, man, let's hope that you're there's not a hurricane someplace where your produce costs suddenly get jacked up because a bunch of crops got wasted, or
you're a new location, you're a private owner, and you bought used equipment.
Yep.
Used equipment is like buying a used car.
Yep.
It can work out great, or it can't. So, say 3 months after opening, your grill goes down.
Yep.
Let's face it, you got to fix it.
Right.
Because you're not going to try and buy a whole new one. You're 3 months after you open, you still broke.
Yeah,
broke
exactly.
as a joke.
It's like, hey, do you know how to fix a grill? You can try to Google it, I guess, or try to do it yourself. But more than likely, you're going to be paying a service tech to come out, which instantly is $100 as soon as he walks in the door. Right?
Yeah, just about.
Just about that. And then hopefully he's got the parts, which, by the way, I got a feeling he's not going to have that part.
I'm going to have to come back. It's, I'll give you my price for it. Yeah, okay. You're full of shit.
Yeah, I'll do you a favor because you seem like a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm only going to make 4 trips back to the store instead of the usual 8 that I'm going to do. And I'm not going to tell you about what's going on with the other stuff that I know that's going to break in a week as soon as I fix this first thing.
Right.
So it's I figured that out a long time ago. Is that this is why the internet's great, and this is why if you're managing a restaurant now, or you're better off than, let's say, from like back in the 80s, to the extent that you could look up and be like, all right, and learn how to troubleshoot your own equipment.
YouTube.
Yep. I'm like, did you not? I got to know the troubleshooting guides for every piece of equipment that was in any kitchen that I was just so that way I knew. I mean, not that I like it's. So somebody, I was always when a repair guy comes in is like, yeah, your defraculator is needs to be quantumized. They go out all the time. I'm like, dude, shut up, man. Listen, I know I need 3 fuses. Can you check this fuse, and that fuse, please? You
got to know what you're talking about. These guys that run around and fix restaurant equipment, and including Hobart, which is one of the big nationwide things. They're worse than mechanics. They will scam you like nobody's business. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know what's going on with your equipment.
Your ice machine, which is going to break down every Sunday brunch shift, especially in the summertime. And it's pretty weird. There's so many times where, like, at other places that I've worked where, I mean, because most restaurants use a Hojisaki for their ice machines.
Yeah.
At least in Arizona they do. And I'm like, hey, when's the last time you guys serviced it? Like, well, we got to get the repair guy out. I'm like, nope. Here, give me a screwdriver. I'm like, what? And I'll take the hoses out, wash it out myself, do a wash cycle and stuff. I'm like, all right, so now we know, this is how you keep from your pump from going out to make sure that your hoses are clean so a bunch of shit's not going in there, right? And so much of that normal preventive maintenance that I will give props to Peter Piper Pizza. That was the first management job that I had, which I totally sucked at. But they had their own in-house maintenance guys, but they had like 50 stores all across Arizona.
They would pre and do a loop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
But the thing is that they taught all of their assistant managers. They would start having classes that are like, all right, before you assholes call us, all right, we're going to ask you, is the machine plugged in? And there's a lot of times that would happen. Like there was some of the ovens that we used that were electric, or at least the moving parts of it. Yeah. Or like did you just sweep underneath and clean underneath your oven? I'm like, yeah. Can you please check and see if it's
plug it back in?
It's plugged back in, you idiot. Why did you? We actually had a class about this to not do this. And I'm like, oh, sorry. But yeah, that stuff became invaluable, and I didn't realize how important it was till I worked for other restaurants. That that thought never crossed their mind.
No, and I've worked for some of the big boys. They'll have like a air filter maintenance thing.
Yeah,
but ultimately, it all falls on the general manager or the managers to be able to do this stuff.
Right.
For instance, where I'm at now, greasing the smoker wheels.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. It wasn't done until I got there.
This is going to be an issue, right? As soon as we need this.
Like, you got to do this once a month, right? Just make sure it's still, But, a lot of places, and again, why don't they have a maintenance thing?
Right.
Why don't they have something in place to test and maintain the equipment, especially for the big boys? You look at, any of the big companies out there. I don't care if you Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't there a maintenance schedule or key?
Mm-hmm.
Can you answer it?
No.
It's easy.
Not cost effective?
It's not cost effective.
Right.
Instead of paying somebody to come out and test my equipment, make sure everything's clean, make sure it's good to go, that'd cost me what? Maybe $200 to $500 a month, depending on how many places and locations and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, fuck it. I'm just going to slide that in my pocket.
Right. You can do that. The, what was it? Yeah, either way, they're always going to have to pay for it. I mean, the closest I think that a lot of restaurants will come to it is their line checks that, that they make their managers do.
Yeah, but that's...
And it's just that identifies if there's an issue where they're like, which will happen, and like, hey, we don't have any hamburger buns today because our oven's broken. Like, well, why is your oven broken? Did you not see this coming? I'm like, no, it was working, and then it stopped working.
So you didn't do the line check.
You didn't do the line? Oh, okay. Or I mean, for things like your flat top grill, when you're like, hey, I noticed that it's holding temperature on one side of the grill but not on the other. So, okay, there's a problem here. Okay, that's one thing to look for.
Okay, so here's something stupid for most restaurants that have grills,
mm-hmm.
fryers, ovens.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a thermometer.
Yep.
Fryers, what, $15?
Right.
Grill flat thermometers probably $20. Ovens probably about $20.
Yep. You might as well get two because one of them's going to go out on you, by the way.
But instead, the health department comes in, and I love this. This is everywhere I've gone. Oh. The health department comes in and says, oh, you need a thermometer in every fridge, freezer, whatever else. But they don't give a fuck about the equipment. Let's face it. If I'm cooking something
mm-hmm.
and I'm cooking it at 100 degrees, that might be a health issue.
Right.
All right. And everywhere I've gone, from California, New York, to it doesn't matter. They just don't give a damn. All they give a damn of holding.
Yep.
Period. Before and after. They don't care. They don't care about the process. Now, granted, with water baths, smoking, stuff like that, everything's different. So it's kind of hard to regulate.
Right.
But why wouldn't you make it a code, or as a restaurant owner, why wouldn't you make your people have those thermometers? You probably do the whole kitchen for $100.
Probably.
And have double of them.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to spot issues before they happen.
It's so funny. I think there was it was a new assistant manager at a restaurant that I was working at, and I was just an hourly. But this is after I've been management for a while. So the health inspector's coming in and like, this isn't at temperature. And then she's panicking. She's like, well, I just don't. I'm like, and I looked over. I'm like, we just finished prepping that. I'm like, what? We just finished prepping it. So, which, you know what that means is that, well, shit, because now the health department's like, I have to wait 45 minutes to make sure to see if this thing comes in. I'm like, yeah, let's go check that out. And I'm like, and it was weird because when she would do line checks, she would do the temps on every item. Yeah. And I'm like, that's very thorough.
Well, that's how most corporations want it.
That's how they want it, and that's how they should be. But the thing is that while the rest of the restaurant was busy, she was still doing her line check.
Oh, yeah.
And she would take 45 minutes to an hour to do this. I'm like, it takes 15 minutes. Like, you get 3 thermometers. 1, 2, 3. Look at this. Is this a temp? Is this a temp? Great. You knock all that shit out. Moving on. And they just, it was this weird thing where, like, she was trying to be, correct about it, but I was kind of like, there's certain things that you got to know. Not that it's necessarily a shortcut, but it's more like about time management. And
management, yes. But if you have a 12-page line check to do it the way they want it,
right?
Yeah, it's going to take you an hour.
Yeah, maybe that's because I was a shitty manager. I was like, hey, I checked 3 things on this line. They're all at temperature.
The whole thing.
Tink, 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 tink. Yep, that's all at 45. Like, why? Because my holding temp is at 40. Is at 41. I checked all corners of this thing, so everything's been prepped here. That hasn't just recently got on there. And okay, look, it's all.
Well, absolutely right. You checked, a couple items within that holding cabinet, plus your temperature of your core hold.
Yep.
So if you're running 38 and the open top bar is 40, 3 items, they all pretty much match. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Because we're coming in a lunch rush, and you know how many corporations go, oh yeah, you need to do this 4 times, 3 times a day.
Yep.
Yeah, because I have time for that. Oh, that's right. As a manager, you got to cook on the in-between because we're going to cut labor.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, you could be doing your line check as you're cooking. That's saving money. That's just,
if you
gotta,
don't have any orders running up back and forth.
We just hope we don't get busy. That's what our thing is. But the thing was that it was kind of shocking to me that nobody told her how to handle a health inspection.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's things, because they're going to try to trip you up, and this is my favorite one, because health inspectors, and I'm not trying to tell you guys how to get away with not doing your job, but they use the Star Trek, the ambient or the surface.
Well, it depends on where you are.
In Aurora, that's what they did. And by the way, when they do that, everything is over temp. It's amazing. Oh, look at this. That's not a temp. That's not a temp. You're getting 5 criticals here. Hold on for a second. Let me get my probe thermometer. Dink. Oh, look, it is a temp. And they're like,
see, the place I'm at now, because I had one of the infrareds that I had brought in, and the county or town, whatever it is that I'm at now, their health department only wants digital probes. They don't want the thermals.
Right.
And again, the thermals don't get the core temperature.
Right.
They only get the top line, so I kind of get it.
Yeah.
And, the digital is becoming a little bit more expensive, but they last a hell of a lot longer. Mm-hmm. But you get the round ones, all right? And I've actually had this in New York. I had, this was before all the thermal whatever else. They only had the digital and the nut jobbies. Health inspector comes in, starts temping stuff. I have a digital.
Right.
And he's like, none of this is temping right. So I stick my digital in. Temps right.
Right.
I'm like, when was the last time you recalibrated it?
Yeah. Well, Peter Piper made us do that every morning.
Do it every time before I come in. I said, okay. Well, I saw you recalibrate it when you came into my store, but you knocked it on the shelf as you're walking through.
Right.
If you hit those,
it's off.
You have to recalibrate. Here's my whole problem with the health department.
Right.
They hire these idiots.
These twat waffles they hire.
That have never. Yeah, thanks. I mean, some places I'm actually glad you went in.
No, absolutely.
But half the time these guys go through book tests, whatever else. Book tests are great. You don't understand how things run, or you don't know enough about your job to really give a damn. You just quote regulation, like smoking
your
meats. we as human beings have smoked meats because it cures them. They can stay out in the open for days.
Right.
Health department's like, you got 4 hours. It's cured, right?
Right. That's where they got the whole thing where they called it curing. So no. Well, I mean, there's that, or there's the concept. Let's say maybe their boss is like, how come everybody that you've inspected over the past week have all like passed with like a 95%? So I don't think you're doing your job well enough.
Because I have 210 stores that I get done, so I'm off the clock by 4 o'clock.
Right, or the fact, or maybe it's just a hard ass. The idea. It's kind of like with the police officer. If his boss is like, hey, man, you didn't write any speeding tickets this month, that means you're not doing your job.
Right.
So they're going to try to find something. And by the way, it's weird. The health department, in any place that I work, it's strange how they don't announce when they change rules on shit.
Yes.
That one's really interesting. That
drives me nuts.
That, like, wait a second, just you came in here 6 months ago and it said this was acceptable. We didn't get dinged on and you said everything was fine.
It's up on our website.
Yeah,
is what you always get nowadays.
Yeah, you should be up checking and all the stuff. I'm like, man, I don't know.
It's county or town-wide. You have all the permits that have been placed through your frickin' area.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the information for these. How hard would it be to go, all right, email everyone?
New change in rules. New change in this. New change in that. But they're like, well, we don't have to. It's your job to pay attention to this. And I'm like, this seems like a cash grab, by the way.
A little bit.
And I know there's a lot. I have conversations with a lot of these inspectors. There was this one dude, the ServSafe book, the management book that you have to go through. It's this huge, massive tome where there's a lot. You got to know about many specific types of bacteria. And it's really, really intense thing. That's why when somebody's like, yeah, I've done the ServSafe stuff, like the management one. Yeah, the management one. Like, how long did it take you? It took like an hour.
All-day thing.
No, that's an all-day thing. And really, you should be studying for it because it's a brutal test.
The test normally takes you about 2 hours. And they changed it as of, not that far, 5-6 years ago, they started focusing more and more on the bacteria and stuff. Mm-hmm. Which... I don't know about you guys. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed.
Yeah.
But you got to have a fucking bioengineer degree to fucking pass this thing now.
Dude, the last inspector I dealt with that went through Sky Harbor, he was the head of the whole department, right? And when that dude came in, he grilled you on everything in that textbook and stuff. And he was not nice about it, man. And mostly, sometimes he could kind of charm folks a little bit. And this guy... The only thing that a guy's like, all right, what kind of bacteria could grow if this thing isn't done? I'll give you a hint. There's a heavy metal band that named one of their albums after this thing, or that sounds close to it. I'm like, Listeria? And he's like, how do you know? I'm like, because my brother listened to Def Leppard, which meant that I listened to Def Leppard off of the band Hysteria. And he's like, and then it took a little bit, and I don't know if any other managers were able to do this, but I figured out that the guy was like, oh, yeah, I'm moving to California in 2 months. I'm like, oh, really? Is that? He's like, yeah, freaking wife, divorced, all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, shit, dude, I just went through that myself.
Right.
And then we start talking about stuff, anything other than what was going on. And then I'm like, okay, well, so I thought this was meant from this, and because I know this from doing sales,
right?
Is that get the person to start talking about how smart they are or what they know about,
or have them teach you.
Yes, exactly.
Most health code people will, if you're like, well, I thought it was this way. When did it turn? Mm-hmm. If they start teaching you, they feel empowered.
Yep, and then suddenly they're like, well, you didn't know. Listen, okay, just for next time, do me a favor. I'm like, I'm going to have to get you on this thing, but that's fine. If they get you on that one thing. Instead of 5 different things. Because this is the other thing that I love about it is that when the news cycle is slow and the local news has nothing to talk about, one of the go-tos that they can always get a story with is to the health department. Find out which is it safe to eat at your favorite dining establishment.
Well, there are some places. There's a couple different systems out there. Mm-hmm. You have the ABCDE system.
Yep.
If you got an F, you're closed. Then you have their percentage system. And there's actually, like when I was in Charlotte, they used to report it weekly. You could go on their website and click on and find out. And
oh, okay.
And it's not a bad thing.
I don't think so either. No.
I think it's a good thing that they're producing that and promoting that because, again, there are some people out there where cat should not be on the menu.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy, but it's true. But the places should be running at a certain standard.
Totally.
And
people have gotten sick. There have been like cross contaminations and stuff like that. That's definitely happened, and there's a reason why the health department exists. But
they're not always right, but they're a good basic defense.
Totally
is how I look at them. I did some military time where our health departments, were done by our superiors, but they're white gloving everything. And to go through a white glove inspection is probably one of the most nerve-wracking things.
Are they armed when they do this? So that way they got like a 45 and they're like, hey, listen, I hope this thing's a temp.
They might as well, because otherwise you're re-cleaning, recutting, re-inspection. But I mean, these basic codes are good to run with. The problem that I find with the health codes, out of all my travels, is they're different everywhere.
Yeah.
And
county to county, city to city and stuff.
You could have a town line 50 feet away. One place can run scooper water. Other place can't. I think as a whole, we need to just cross the board.
Yeah.
Serve safe is a great way to go. Not that I necessarily want an independent company coming in and testing my location, whatever else.
And by the way, or friggin' knocking out your manager bonus, your company using that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's same thing with the FDA, though, because for years the FDA's guidelines were lower than any health department out there.
Right.
All right? So for years it was like, it wasn't 140/40, it was like 45 or some junk like that to 142 or 138 or whatever it was, but we as an industry kept a higher standard.
Right.
Now the health departments are coming in between the FDA and ourselves.
Right. And
so
our standards are even stricter. So
well, it depends on pride, whatever else, but the basic guidelines and standards, especially like ServSafe teaches, why isn't the health code or health department people doing these ServSafes?
Yeah.
They're certified through their own department. Okay, so Kathy just taught Kimmy how to temp something.
Right.
By what it says in the book. Doesn't mean it's right.
Oh, yeah. Well, what one of my favorite is hand washing, right? Which is totally important. But
it is, but are we surgeons?
Yeah, that's where I was getting to. And that's the whole idea is like I've gotten dinged before because a server she picked up a plate, then had to make change, and then had to run food.
Yeah.
Okay. You get dinged because she didn't wash her hands between making change and then running food. Even though her hand is not touching the food, but it's kind of like there's, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but it's like when these regulations, like, all right, remember Howard Hughes from The Aviator when he's like living in his room all naked, only drinking milk. And like whacking off into socks and stuff, but he was deathly afraid of germs. Let's have that dude. Yeah, got to get the blueprint. Let's have that dude make the rules and stuff. And he's like, "Whoa, what if a germ somehow manages to jump ship and do this and infect somebody and they die? Then that means that God hates you, all right? And you probably weren't going to make it anyways." But the whole idea, they want to make sure everything that is sterilized environment. Okay.
Which is kind of funny because for decades, I don't know how many kitchens I've gone into or restaurants or stores, You could smoke over the saute station.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. You could pick your ass or your nose. Nobody cared.
It was a gross shit, but yeah.
You know, but nowadays, and for some of those places that, you know, you have to sing happy birthday at least 3 minutes. The water's got to be as hot as you can take it. Yeah. And you have to nail brush. I don't know about you guys, but if I nail brush every single time I wash my hands, I'm going to get paid to wash my hands.
Yeah.
I mean, I wash my hands a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, same here.
But, you know, should we start having cuticle cutters? And files while we're doing it?
Basically, what it always turned out to when any health department, like in Arizona, they were like, oh, this has to be a thing now. Okay, so basically just have brushers on the sinks.
Right,
yeah,
but nobody uses them.
Got to make sure your employees do it. Yeah, okay. Which I always tell the servers, like, oh, so we got to do this now, so now we have to do that. I'm like, hey, look at me, all right?
See the care
in
my eye?
When the health inspector is here,
we care. That's so wrong, dude.
And I actually told my staff that. They're like, what? I'm like, we're just trying not to get dinged, all right? Can you do I get on your ass about this all the time? Like, no. I'm just asking you, please, just for my sanity, can you do this one thing for me and make sure when the health inspector, when he's looking at you, when he is obviously trying to catch you at something, can you please make sure we do this?
Just go wash your hands.
Just go and like, all right. Like, all right, thanks. And guess what? We didn't get dinged on it. I'm like, hey, see?
That's so wrong, though, because there's so much into a day. You should be teaching this, and you're like, fuck it. When they're here, just tell them what they want to hear.
And that's pretty much, just be thankful that I'm not actually managing anymore.
And this is why, as an owner-operator, you need to be in your locations.
Exactly.
Never trust anybody that you're paying.
Especially me.
Man. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've all cut edges, even owners, operators.
I'm sure.
We rob Peter, pay Paul, but at the end of the day, as long as we have the basics down, hot food hot, cold food cold, hot soapy water, rinse, dry.
And
your place will be fine.
Yeah. We had this the last time, I think we got a health inspection at the last restaurant I worked at, and I was at a macaroni grill, and it was after Mother's Day.
Oh.
Right? And so and this is the weird thing what always happens with when somebody comes in, she's like, yeah, I got food poisoning from you guys. Red light. All right, that's going on. Okay, what was it that you
ate last?
So like, it was the salmon. I'm like, okay. Well, we'll have to check and see, because this is the weird thing is, for all you scammers out there, you don't start off with food poisoning right off the bat, because the first thing that a manager is going to do is like, did we have any other reported cases of people getting sick from the salmon?
Right. Well, and you got 24 to 48 hours of incubation time. So let's face it, that fucking McDonald's fucking Big Mac that you had at midday that you sat outside eating in 100-degree temperature might be the culprit.
That might be it. So basically, the first thing that a restaurant's going to do in order to protect themselves is like, okay, there is a process of it, and
that's why we have line checks.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, we did all of our line checks and all this other stuff, right? But what it was is that first of all, I didn't help the matters and everything, because I'm like, of
course you did.
I didn't react. I didn't react to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, nope, I know how to cover my ass on this. I'm like, all right, well, and I'm a bartender, right? So I'm not a manager. And I'm like, well, let me go get the GM for you and stuff. And she's like, well, he didn't seem like he was really concerned about this. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not. And like the GM was like, I'm like, dude, you might want to talk to her, but I've got a weird feeling about it, right? So he went and talked to her, and she immediately wanted to get reimbursed for getting food poisoning from less than 24 hours and all this other stuff. And he's like, I'm going to pass this off to my regional. All right, because there's a whole process we got to do from this, and so either way, somebody, and I can't prove this, but I'm pretty sure this was a team that somebody else called, said the exact same thing, but using the exact same wording, right? Once again, still got to go through all the process. Later that day, health inspector comes in because they got pissed. They called the health inspector. Like, I got food poisoning. You need to go over there, check that right now. And the health inspector, by the way, on the salmon, there was nothing wrong with the salmon. There was nothing wrong the way we did anything. But however, sandy sinks or sandy buckets weren't changed out, and we got dinged on some other things. And,
right.
But yeah, that was.
Well, and something I want to go a little bit further with. If you've ever really gotten food poisoning,
yeah,
all right, it comes out of both ends.
Right.
You're normally pushing 110 frickin' degree.
Right.
You don't want to move. Everything hurts. It's almost like flu times 10.
Right.
And it will come out of both ends while you're on the toilet.
Yeah.
You are not going to show up at a restaurant within that time.
Right.
You're barely making it to the bathroom.
Yep.
You know? And nowadays it's funny. People are like, "Oh, I got food poisoning." A lot of times they get the squirts. Let's you know, they get
That's
the
the
runs.
internet. We could say squirts.
They get the shits.
Explosive. Where the neighbor next door can hear you taking a shit.
You know, and a lot of times with all the processed foods that we intake, and there's a good reason why so many people are coming gluten-free.
Right.
All right. But let's take a celiac disease.
Right.
A true gluten-free. They cannot eat, touch, whatever.
Right.
Because it fucks with their insides. They get the shits. They get the fevers. They get the shakes.
Headaches.
It really fucks them up.
Oh, totally.
But so these, and I've seen it a couple times. These guys get the shits and go, "Oh, I've got food poisoning." No, you ate something that your body's not used to, or you don't eat right normally, and you've eaten something healthy and it's playing havoc with your system.
You ate a salad 2 days ago, and your body's just like, wait a second, what is this?
What the fuck's going on?
It finally made a way through all of the frickin' canned ham and top ramen that's infesting your intestine tract,
right?
And it just shot all that shit out. But
and that's a huge reason why. You know, like, okay, today on my way here I got Starbucks, but normally I don't like Starbucks because they don't clean their machines right. And I know that from being in military, and they don't clean the coffee machines right half the time, and it gives you the shits. All right? If you want a shit, go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, well, it's a diuretic too. So yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, all the sugars, whatever else. But so many people are like, oh, I had food poisoning because I ate the shits. I had a shit 3 times today, not twice, and it was all liquid. Okay, moron.
Hey, I have something to talk about. Hey, look, I have some. Hey, guys, what'd you do this weekend? I got the shit.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. And there are people out there that have virtually nothing going on in their life, and they're going from one drama to the next, which, if that's the one to live, fine. But when it starts to affect the income for the people in the restaurant, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, man.
And, I mean, there's so much stuff out there now. Normally, if you get food poisoning, your body hurts. It's coming out of every hole you could fucking think of.
Or even worse, man. What was the one, this video that really, really got me? And it was from a Sizzler way back in the late 80s or the 90s or something. But basically, and this is the reason why you do want to have a health regulation, health department stuff. And I know because we were kind of shitting on him. But a guy cut fish and then cut produce, or cut poultry and then cut produce.
Didn't clean anything.
And fruit and everything with the same knife. Didn't do that. Little girl got massively sick and died.
Well, yeah.
It was a slow death, too. I mean, there was those things where you're like, oh, holy shit. But it's weird that there's that. I mean, like I said, yeah, there are reasons for them being there. But you would think that was just common sense. But nope, it isn't. But there's a different. That is fucking food poisoning. That is something that was serious. But
that's the difference of hiring somebody that doesn't care about their job,
right.
having a manager that doesn't train them,
who's not watching, who's not paying attention.
Not doing anything, sitting on their ass, as we've all seen in many situations, letting people do whatever the hell they want, and then go, well, I don't understand why we're closing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the food's burnt. Why, they're my coring the tomatoes. Why did they just slice the tomatoes? Why didn't they core them? Because either nobody ever taught them, or you hired somebody so in depth that they just don't give a fuck about what they're doing.
Right.
So.
Well, it's weird. I mean, it's those little things like there's a reason why they use color-coded knives now, right? The whole thing is that, which is weird because there's places I've been through. I'm like, why do you guys only have 3 knives? Like, because I'm used to, you got yellow handles are for poultry, red is for red meat, blue is for fish. Green is for produce.
Yeah.
Right. So that way, and white. That's a general purpose.
That's all-purpose, but you can use it for produce as well.
Right. So that way, like if I'm walking it, because I would always just doing my, just circling around the whole thing, and I see somebody in the prep table who's using a yellow knife to cut produce, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? That's only supposed to be for poultry. Okay. Oh no, I washed it. I don't care. Don't ever fucking
So here's another, we said it earlier, the difference between fine dining and the rest of restaurants.
Right.
All right. What chef, has a color-coded chef bag?
None.
So what does it matter?
Well, I guess the other thing, because I worked with more cooks than I did chefs, because I know chefs will bring in their own knives.
Right. But, I mean, if I ever saw a chef come in, opened up his knife kit, and it was all color-coded, I don't know what I do.
Like, did somebody get that for you, or are you just really that?
Was that a present you're trying to use up? I mean, what the fuck? And most chef kits, I mean, most guys don't buy, all one brand. It's all miss and match, whatever else. And I think the color coding was great, but it was for the basic employees of regular restaurants because they stopped buying into the chefs.
Yeah.
They're hiring a 30-year-old at minimum wage that's never worked the business to run certain areas, and they shouldn't be, which, and the monkey presses the button.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, man, I think it's probably a good place to end it on explosive diarrhea, color-coded knives, and
monkeys pressing the button.
Monkeys pressing buttons. So I think that's probably it for. You know what? You got to get a Twitter at some point, a Twitter handle for this show.
I need a handle.
Yeah. So,
my name's Thor. I have a handle.
Yes. I was born with a handle. What?
No, I won't go there.
But thanks so much, man, for guys for stopping in here. Rotodin, who said, "Hey, bastards," which was, I don't know if he's probably stopped watching since then, but thanks for checking it out. We've had at least quite a few folks actually. I saw the numbers go up who checked us out and everything. So that's good.
Thanks for coming on. If you guys have any suggestions or comments, we're always looking for new topics to throw out. Again, it's just 2 guys talking the shit, or explosive shit.
Talking the explosive shit.
Hopefully it helps people getting into the business, getting out of the business, redefining the business, thinking about things. We're not getting too pinpoint on some things.
I don't think so. No,
marketing and stuff like that, or actual numbers. We're just roundabouting.
Yeah, we would. It would be great to actually have somebody who focuses specifically on marketing and promotions and stuff. That would be interesting to see what their thoughts are.
Throw out some past P&Ls and break down some of the business for a lot of the new people getting into this business.
Let you know what you're getting into. The special circle of hell known as the restaurant industry.
We loathe. I mean love.
Love.
Yes.
So signing off for DisJointed FoodBiz, I'm Dave Germain.
Thor Markey.
You guys have yourself a great week. Hey, thanks for the follow, man. That's awesome. Appreciate it. All right, now we're going away. Seriously, have a great week.